Everyone. Good afternoon. This is Ifeoma Odunlami, your immigration attorney from New Jersey, who works to serve clients in all 50 states. How is everyone doing? I'm going to put my comment section on so that you guys can ask me questions if you have. So this is going to be a really short one, but I had a question from I had a question from a client who wanted to know if they could adjust their status even though they are in deportation proceedings. So the answer is it depends. So I'm going to talk about that today. So when you come on, please let me know you're here. Say hello, give me a hand wave signals, whatever, to let me know that you're here with me. So this is a really important topic because a lot of people are in the process of being deported or have been deported. They have an order of deportation. They're still here, but they've been given an order of deportation, and or their case has been administratively closed by the immigration judge. So in a case like that, the question I get all the time is, does this mean I can never adjust my status here in the United States? No, it does not mean that. You can still adjust your status if you fall into certain groups. So I'm going to talk about one group of people that can still adjust their status even though they are in deportation proceedings, have been deported, have had their deportation matter closed. Uh, they can still adjust their status without having to leave the United States. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So let me give you some preliminary, I guess, explanation for those who do not know what adjustment of status is, deportation proceedings, all that stuff, right? Hi, everyone joining in. For those who are just joining into my live for the first time, my name is Ifeoma Odunlami. I'm an immigration attorney in New Jersey, but my clients are all over the United States. And we're here to assist fellow immigrants to get legal status so they can come out of the shadows without fear of being removed from their family members. That's what we do here, okay? So let's start by identifying a few key words so you understand what I'm saying when I start talking legalese. So adjustment of status is the way you move from one status to a green card holder, right? You can do this through either falling into some relationship with a qualifying relative, which means maybe you're married to a US citizen or you have a child that's a US citizen and the child is over 21, or you have a parent who's a US citizen who can file for you, right? And these three categories I mentioned, we call them immediate relatives. They are immediate relatives because anyone who is applying for a green card through their immediate relatives has a visa immediately available to them. They don't have to wait on a line to get to apply to get a green card. Now, when I say a visa is immediately available, I don't mean that you're going to apply right now and get your green card. We all know that USCIS has a lot of there's a lot of wait. We've been waiting for a long time for applications to go through. So now, there are many people who find themselves in deportation proceedings, either because they came in here with a visitor's visa and they overstayed, or they came in here without inspection, which means they came in without a visa, they were not paroled in, they were not waived in, they came in either through the border or kind of snuck in somewhere. So they were not inspected, right? And if they were caught, or they file an application and it's denied, they find themselves in deportation proceedings, right? Now, deportation proceedings means that you go before an immigration judge, and that's different from USCIS. USCIS does not have anything to do with deportation. USCIS does the affirmative applications that you put in when you're applying to file for your spouse, your child, your parent. You go through USCIS. Now, to adjust status, you have to be in the United States. If you're outside the United States, you'll be doing something called consular processing, right? So to adjust status, you have to be inside the United States. And for some people, they can adjust their status and others cannot for various reasons. So I talked about that yesterday for those who could not adjust their status because either their petition was denied, or they came in without inspection, or many other reasons. But today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about those people who are in deportation proceedings and whether they can adjust their status. So the answer to that is yes, but only if you meet two requirements, right? For this category of people who have qualifying relatives, who are immediate relatives, you have to have a qualifying relative, right, which I've described before, and you have to have come in lawfully. You have to have been inspected. That's what it means. So it doesn't matter if you're out of status now, you have to have a qualifying relative and you have to have been inspected. So what happens is that if you're in immigration proceedings and you happen to have a child who's over the age of 21, and the child can now file for you. Typically what happens is you're in immigration proceedings before your child turns 21, and then your child turns 21, and your child is a US citizen, and your child can file for you. So in that case, what we would do is we would take the approval, go to immigration court, request to terminate the immigration proceedings, or depending on how far along your case is, the immigration judge may be able to adjudicate the adjustment of status process right there in immigration court, right? So what happens if you've already been ordered deported? There's an order of deportation. The same thing. If you have an approved petition, we can go to immigration court and make a motion to reopen the case and explain why this case can now be reopened, typically because now you have an approved petition and you can proceed that way, right? So if you also, this also happens for people who have been in immigration proceedings, but for some reason their cases were administratively closed. If you have a qualifying relative, you can also move to reopen the proceedings and go before the court again to present your case, to explain why your case should be reopened because you now have an approved petition from a qualifying relative. So now the more difficult part is when you get your qualifying relative is a spouse. So there's this suspicion that people will get married just to avoid being deported. So because of that, if you get married while you're in deportation proceedings, there's a presumption that you did that to avoid being deported. And so if this is you, what you need to do for starters is when you file for your Form I-130 to get an approved petition, you must also request the bona fide marital exception in writing. You must request that. Otherwise, your I-130 will be denied. So basically, I'm here to tell you guys that there are many ways to adjust status. Just because you're in deportation proceedings, or you've been ordered deported, or you have a closed hearing does not mean that you will not be able to adjust your status. So if you know somebody who is in deportation proceedings, has been ordered deported, or has an administratively closed case, and this person has a qualifying relative, which I've described as spouse of a U.S. citizen, parents of a U.S. citizen, the U.S. citizen parent of a child under the age of 21, or the U.S. citizen child who is 21 and who is looking to file for their parents. So if you know anybody who's in this category, feel free to have them call my office, 973-993-1900. We're here to assist you guys to make sure that you can get your legal status. Now, there's another category of people who come in without inspection who are not able to adjust their status, and that's going to be the topic of another day. But today I want to talk to those people who are in deportation proceedings and have a qualifying relative and are not sure how to get themselves out of immigration court and with a green card. So if you have any questions, feel free to call my office, 973-993-1900. Take care, guys.